What happens when a royal duchess walks onto a morning show expecting royal treatment but instead gets asked real questions? In just 36 seconds of one comment, everything explodes into the most shocking meltdown ever caught on live television. But before we get into this absolute chaos, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because we're pulling back the curtain on royalty's dark side, exposing entitled celebrities and their shocking behavior the cameras never showed you. We've got the raw footage they don't want you to see, and you won't want to miss a single reveal. Drop your thoughts in the comments about this outrageous behavior, because trust me, you're going to have opinions. Okay, so picture this. It's a regular morning at the Good Morning America studio. The lights are bright, the cameras are rolling, and the audience is ready for what they think will be a nice, pleasant interview. Lara Spencer, the beloved host who's known for her warm smile and genuine questions, is sitting across from Meghan Markle. Everyone's expecting the usual celebrity interview, talk about projects, share some laughs, maybe discuss some charity work. Standard stuff. But from the very first moment, something feels different. There's tension in the air that you could cut with a knife. Meghan walks onto the set, and instead of the warm greeting most guests give, she barely acknowledges the audience. No wave, no smile, just a cold stare as she takes her seat. Lara, being the professional she is, tries to lighten the mood. "Welcome to Good Morning America. We're so excited to have you here today," Lara says with her signature warm smile. Meghan gives a tight-lipped nod. "Thank you for having me," she says, but her tone is ice cold, not the friendly, grateful tone you'd expect from someone appearing on one of the biggest morning shows in America. Lara continues, still trying to keep things light and breezy. "So, let's start with what everyone wants to know. You've been living a pretty private life lately. What made you decide to come on the show today?" And this is where things start to get weird. Instead of giving a normal answer, Meghan leans back in her chair and lets out this long, dramatic sigh. "Well, Lara, I think the real question is why it took so long for someone to invite me to speak my truth." The studio audience shifts uncomfortably. Lara's eyebrows raise just slightly, but she keeps her professional composure. "I see. Well, we're glad you're here now. I wanted to ask you about your recent comments regarding—" "I'm sorry, can we pause for a second?" Meghan interrupts, holding up her hand. "Is it always this cold in here? I specifically requested that the temperature be set to exactly 72 degrees. Lara blinks, clearly taken aback. "Oh, I can have someone check on that for you. But let's continue with—" "No, seriously, this is unacceptable," Meghan continues, looking around dramatically. "Do you know how sensitive my skin is to temperature changes? This is exactly the kind of thing I was talking about when I mentioned how difficult it is to navigate spaces that don't consider your needs." Lara maintains her smile, but you can see she's starting to realize this interview might not go as planned. "I apologize for any discomfort. We'll get that sorted out. Now, I'd love to hear about your latest project." "You know what, Lara?" Meghan interrupts again, leaning forward. "Before we talk about my projects, I think we need to address something. The way you just apologized, it felt very surface level. It didn't feel genuine." The audience goes completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Lara's smile falters for just a second before she recovers. "I assure you, my apology was sincere. I want you to be comfortable. Now." "There it is again," Meghan says, shaking her head. "That tone, that dismissive tone. This is exactly what I've been trying to explain to people. The microaggressions, the subtle ways people make you feel small." Lara takes a deep breath. You can tell she's trying really hard to stay professional. "I'm not trying to dismiss you at all. I genuinely want to have a good conversation with you today. So let's try again. Can you tell our viewers about what you've been working on?" Meghan stares at her for a long moment. "Fine, but I'm watching you, Lara." That comment sends a chill through the studio. Lara clears her throat. "Okay then. So, your recent work has focused on—" "Actually, you know what? I don't think you've done your research." Meghan interrupts yet again. "If you had, you would know that I don't like being asked about my work in that way. It's very limiting. I'm more than just my projects." Lara's patience is clearly being tested, but she remains calm. "You're absolutely right. You are much more than your work. So let's talk about you as a person. What's been bringing you joy lately?" "Joy?" Meghan repeats, as if the word offends her. "It's interesting that you would use that word. Joy is such a complex emotion, especially for someone like me who's had to endure so much." "I understand you've faced challenges," Lara says gently, "and I think our audience would love to hear about how you've overcome." "See? That's the problem right there." Meghan cuts in, her voice rising slightly. "You think you understand, but you don't. You sit here in your comfortable chair with your comfortable life, and you think you can relate to what I've been through? The audience gasps quietly. Lara's face shows genuine surprise now. I wasn't claiming to know exactly what you've experienced. I was simply trying to. Trying to what? Make me fit into your neat little interview box? Make me perform for your cameras? Meghan's voice is getting louder and sharper. Lara remains calm, her voice steady. Not at all. I'm trying to have a respectful conversation with you. That's what we do here. We talk with our guests, we listen to them, and we give them a platform to share their stories. A platform? Meghan laughs, but it's not a happy laugh. It's bitter and cold. You think this is a platform? This is nothing. I've had real platforms. I've spoken to millions of people. I've sat with real journalists who ask real questions. Now the audience is really uncomfortable. Some people are looking at each other with wide eyes. Lara's co-hosts off to the side look shocked. But Lara, to her credit, doesn't lose her cool. I respect that you've had many important conversations, Lara says carefully, and I'm trying to give you the space to have one here today. So why don't we… Space? Meghan interrupts, standing up slightly in her seat. You want to talk about space? Let me tell you about space. I came here today as a favor. Do you understand that? A favor. I could be anywhere right now, but I chose to come here, to this show, and this is how I'm treated? Lara's expression shifts from patient to firm. I'm sorry, but I need to stop you there. How exactly have we mistreated you? We welcomed you onto our show, we've been nothing but respectful, and we've tried to accommodate your requests. Respectful? Meghan's voice drips with sarcasm. You call this respectful? Asking me basic questions? Not acknowledging my status? Not treating me with the deference I deserve? And there it is, the word that changes everything. Deference. The audience reacts audibly this time. There are whispers and murmurs. Lara sits up straighter in her chair. Deference? Lara repeats slowly. I treat all of our guests with respect, but I don't treat anyone with deference. This is America. We don't bow to anyone here. Meghan's face flushes red. Excuse me? Are you saying that I expect people to bow to me? I'm saying that respect goes both ways, Lara responds, her voice still calm, but now with an edge of steel. You've come onto our show, interrupted me multiple times, criticized our staff, questioned my sincerity, and now you're suggesting that we should treat you differently than we treat anyone else. Because I am different, Meghan shoots back. I'm not just anyone. I've lived a life that most people can't even imagine. And that's fine, Lara says. Many of our guests have extraordinary lives, but that doesn't mean you get to be rude to people who are just trying to do their jobs. Meghan's eyes go wide. Rude? Did you just call me rude? I called your behavior rude, Lara clarifies. There's a difference. I cannot believe this, Meghan says, looking around at the cameras. Is this really happening? Is she really speaking to me this way? Lara doesn't back down. I'm speaking to you the way I would speak to anyone who's being disrespectful to my team and to this show. We invited you here in good faith. Good faith? Meghan stands up now, her microphone still attached. You want to talk about good faith? I've been sitting here trying to have a genuine conversation, and all you've done is attack me. The audience is stunned into silence. Lara remains seated, looking up at Meghan with a mixture of disbelief and frustration. I haven't attacked you at all, Lara says firmly. I've asked you standard interview questions, and you've responded with hostility from the moment you sat down. This is unbelievable, Meghan says, her voice shaking now, though whether from anger or something else, it's hard to tell. You clearly have an agenda. You brought me here to make me look bad. The only person making you look bad right now is you, Lara responds, and the audience gasps at her directness. I'm sorry, but someone needs to say it. You've been combative. You've been demanding. And you've shown zero appreciation for anyone in this building. Meghan's face is now completely red. How dare you speak to me like this? Do you know who I am? Yes, I do, Lara says, standing up now to meet Meghan at eye level. And more importantly, I know who I am. I'm someone who's worked incredibly hard to get where I am. I'm someone who treats people with kindness and respect. And I'm someone who won't be bullied on my own show. Bullied? Meghan's voice goes up an octave. You think I'm bullying you? That's rich. That's really rich coming from someone who's been passive-aggressive this entire time. I haven't been passive-aggressive, Lara counters. I've been patient. There's a difference. But my patience has limits. Well, clearly, Meghan snaps. Clearly your limits are very low if you can't handle a guest who expects basic respect. You've been given respect. Lara says, her voice rising slightly now. What you haven't been given is special treatment, and apparently, that's not enough for you. Meghan looks around at the audience, as if expecting them to support her, but the faces looking back at her are not sympathetic. They're confused, uncomfortable, and in some cases, disapproving. I don't have to stand here and take this, Meghan announces dramatically. I was told this would be a safe space for me to share my story. It is a safe space, Lara responds. But it's not a space where you get to be disrespectful without being called out. That's not how this works. Unbelievable, Meghan says again, reaching up to unclip her microphone. This is absolutely unbelievable. You people have no idea what it's like. What's like? Lara asks, her frustration now clearly showing. Being asked normal questions? Being expected to behave professionally? Being treated like everyone else? Being treated like I don't matter, Meghan says, her voice trembling. Being treated like my feelings don't count. Being treated like I'm the problem when all I've done is try to exist in a world that constantly tears me down. Lara's expression softens slightly, but her voice remains firm. Nobody here is tearing you down, but you walked in here with an attitude, and you've maintained that attitude throughout this entire interview. At some point, you have to take responsibility for your own behavior. My behavior? Meghan's hands are shaking now as she fumbles with the microphone clip. My behavior is a direct result of how I've been treated. By you, by this show, by everyone. That's not fair, and you know it, Lara says. We've been nothing but welcoming. Welcoming? Meghan finally gets the microphone off and holds it in her hand. You call this welcoming? You've been judging me from the second I walked out here. I've been trying to interview you, Lara corrects. There's a difference between judgment and holding someone accountable. Meghan shakes her head violently. I'm done. I'm done with this conversation. I'm done with this show. I'm done with people like you who pretend to care but really just want to see me fail. Nobody wants to see you fail, Lara says. And for the first time, her voice has a hint of exhaustion in it. But nobody wants to see you treat people poorly either. I treat people poorly? Meghan's voice is almost a shout now. That's hilarious coming from someone who's been condescending this entire time. I have not been condescending, Lara insists. I've been professional. There's a big difference. Professional, Meghan repeats mockingly. Is that what you call this? Attacking a guest on live television? You're not being attacked, Lara says, her own voice rising to match Meghan's volume. You're being held to the same standards as everyone else who comes on this show. If that feels like an attack to you, maybe you need to examine why. That comment seems to be the final straw. Meghan throws the microphone down onto the chair, not gently placing it, but actually throwing it. That's it, Meghan declares. I am not staying here another second. This is abuse. This is harassment. It's neither of those things, Lara says firmly. But if you want to leave, nobody is stopping you. Oh, I'm leaving, Meghan says, starting to walk off the set, but then she stops and turns back around. And everyone is going to hear about this. Everyone is going to know how you treated me. They're seeing exactly how I treated you, Lara says, gesturing to the cameras that are still rolling. With respect, with patience, and with honesty. If you have a problem with that, that's on you. Meghan's mouth opens and closes like she wants to say something else, but no words come out. Finally, she just shakes her head and turns to leave again. Before you go, Lara calls out, stopping her one more time. I just want to say that I'm sorry this didn't go the way you wanted. I genuinely am, but I'm not sorry for standing up for myself and my team. Meghan doesn't respond. She just keeps walking, her heels clicking loudly on the studio floor. The sound echoes through the silent space. Everyone in the audience is frozen, watching this surreal moment unfold. As Meghan reaches the edge of the set, one of the producers tries to stop her, probably to smooth things over or at least get her to calm down. But Meghan just brushes past them without a word. Lara stands there for a moment, watching her go. Then she turns back to the camera, takes a deep breath, and somehow manages to compose herself. Well, she says to the audience, both in the studio and at home, that was certainly unexpected. The audience gives her a round of applause. Not just polite applause, but genuine, supportive applause. Some people even stand up. Lara holds up her hand to quiet them down. Thank you, but that's not necessary. I'm just doing my job, which is to have honest conversations with our guests. Sometimes those conversations are easy, and sometimes they're not. Someone from the audience shouts, "You handled that amazingly." Lara smiles, a real smile this time. I appreciate that, but I want to be clear about something. I have no personal issue with anyone. My job is to ask questions, to listen to answers, and to push back when something doesn't make sense. That's what journalism is supposed to be. Another round of applause. Lara waits for it to die down before continuing. I think what we all just witnessed is what happens when someone expects special treatment instead of equal treatment. And I want to be very clear. On this show, everyone gets equal treatment. That's it. That's the standard. The audience cheers again. Meanwhile, off stage, you can hear some commotion. Meghan's voice carries through the studio. I want to speak to someone in charge. This is unacceptable. I was ambushed. I was set up. Lara can hear it too. Everyone can. She looks off to the side, where the voices are coming from, then back at the camera. We're going to take a quick break, she says to the viewers at home. When we come back, we'll have a completely different energy, I promise. The camera's cut, but in the studio, the drama continues. Meghan is now arguing with multiple producers. Her voice keeps getting louder and louder. Do you know how this makes me look? Do you understand what you've done? I came here in good faith and I was treated like everyone else? Someone from the crew says quietly, but in the silent studio, it carries. Meghan spins around. Who said that? Who said that? Nobody answers. The crew members all look at each other, but nobody steps forward. This is exactly what I'm talking about, Meghan continues. The disrespect, the mockery. I don't deserve this. Lara, who's been talking quietly with her producers, walks over. Look, I think everyone needs to take a breath here. This got out of hand. Out of hand? Meghan interrupts her. You made it get out of hand. You provoked me. I asked you interview questions. Lara responds calmly. If that's provocative to you, I don't know what to tell you. You know what you did, Meghan insists. You came at me with an attitude from the start. That's simply not true, Lara says. And we have the footage to prove it. You can watch it back yourself if you want. I don't need to watch anything back, Meghan snaps. I know what I experienced. And so does everyone else who was watching, Lara points out. They saw the same thing I did. Meghan looks around at all the faces staring at her. Stage crew, camera operators, producers, audience members who haven't left yet. They're all watching this extended meltdown. I want a formal apology, Meghan demands suddenly. From you, from the network, from everyone involved in this disaster. Lara actually laughs at that. Not a mean laugh, but a laugh of genuine disbelief. An apology? For what exactly? For ambushing me? For attacking me? For making me look bad on national television? Nobody made you look bad except yourself, Lara says, and her patience is clearly wearing thin now. You came in here with an attitude, you maintained that attitude, and when you were called out on it, you escalated. That's all on you. I'm calling my lawyers, Meghan threatens. This is defamation. This is slander. It's neither of those things, Lara responds tiredly. It's just a conversation that didn't go the way you wanted. It's more than that, and you know it, Meghan insists. Actually, I don't know it, Lara says. What I know is that you came on this show expecting to be treated like royalty, and when you were treated like a regular guest, you couldn't handle it. Meghan's face goes red again. That is not what happened. Then what did happen? Lara asks, genuinely seeming curious now. From your perspective, what happened here today? Meghan opens her mouth to answer, then closes it. Opens it again, closes it again. She genuinely seems unable to articulate what she thinks went wrong. I was, you were, this whole thing was, she stammers. Was what? Lara presses. Was normal? Was standard? Was exactly like every other interview we do here? It wasn't normal, Meghan finally manages. The way you spoke to me wasn't normal. I spoke to you the way I speak to everyone, Lara counters. With respect until that respect wasn't being returned. Then I spoke to you honestly. Honestly, Meghan repeats bitterly. You mean rudely? No, I mean honestly, Lara insists. There's a difference. Being honest isn't always comfortable, but it's necessary. One of the senior producers steps forward, finally intervening. Okay, I think we need to end this here. This isn't productive for anyone. Finally, someone with some sense, Meghan says, grabbing her purse from where it was placed near the set. I'm leaving, and trust me, people will hear about this. I'm sure they will, Lara says calmly, and they'll make their own judgments about what happened. Meghan gives her one final angry look before turning on her heel and marching toward the exit. This time, nobody tries to stop her. The door slams behind her with a loud bang that echoes through the studio. Everyone stands there in stunned silence for a moment. Then, slowly, the crew starts to move again. going back to their jobs, preparing for the next segment. Lara runs her hands through her hair and lets out a long breath. Well, that was something. Her co-host, who's been watching the whole thing from the side, comes over and puts a hand on her shoulder. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine," Lara says, and she actually seems to mean it. Just, wow, that was intense. "You handled it perfectly," her co-host reassures her. "You stayed calm, you stayed professional, you didn't back down." "I just did what felt right," Lara says with a shrug. "I'm not going to let anyone treat my team badly. I don't care who they are." The audience, most of whom are still in their seats, starts applauding again. Lara looks over at them, surprised. "Thank you," she says genuinely. "Thank you for sticking around through that chaos." Someone from the audience yells, "You're amazing, Lara." She laughs and shakes her head. "I don't know about amazing. I just tried to do my job." "Your job and then some," another audience member calls out. The producers give everyone a few more minutes to settle down before they go back on air. When they do, Lara addresses what happened head on. "All right, for those just joining us, yes, that really just happened," she says to the camera. "We had a guest who wasn't happy with the interview and chose to leave. That's their right, but I want to be clear. This show will always be a place where we ask real questions and have real conversations. We're not here to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but we're also not here to just go along with whatever narrative someone wants to present." The camera stays on her face as she continues. "I respect everyone who comes on this show, but respect is a two-way street. You can't demand it if you're not willing to give it. And that's true whether you're talking to a morning show host or anyone else in your life." She pauses, letting that sink in. "Now, let's move on to something much more fun, shall we?" The show continues. But everyone in that studio knows they've just witnessed something extraordinary, not because of what Meghan did, but because of how Lara handled it. With grace, with strength, and with an unwavering commitment to treating everyone the same, regardless of their title or status. And as the cameras roll on and the show goes back to normal, one thing becomes crystal clear. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stand your ground and refuse to be treated badly, not with aggression, not with cruelty, but with calm, firm boundaries and an unshakable sense of your own worth. That's what real strength looks like. Not demanding special treatment, not throwing tantrums when you don't get your way, but simply maintaining your dignity and expecting others to maintain theirs. It's a lesson some people never learn, no matter how many crowns they wear or how many titles they collect.